This earth in its most pristine state is so hyper beautiful and so absolutely breathtaking that I think if the average person could glimpse, even for just a minute fraction of a second, what Earth was designed to look like, it might drive he or she insane. To compare and contrast what the Earth has become, this rat race, this disgusting, absolutely backwards rat race, in comparison to what I like to call Eden. And I'm not necessarily, I consider myself a Gnostic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a Gnostic Christian. I'm not in any way, shape, or form I'm someone who follows modern Christianity. In fact, I believe that the snake in the Garden of Eden was the good guy. So I think that says enough about my religious views to get you to understand that I am not a typical Christian. I favor the Gnostic Christian wavelength of religious ideologies. And Eden, however, I like to use that term not because I'm a modern Christian, but because Eden was a paradise, folks. And Earth is indeed a paradise in its most uplifted state. So I want to do everything in my power to try to get us back to that point. I want to inspire people to change their lives for the better so that they can improve their health, improve their quality of their mind, their mental expansion, enhance their consciousness, and really just experience what it's like to be more human. Because we have become a domesticated creature that lives in a false environment, and that false environment is the Matrix. And what is the Matrix, you might be asking? The Matrix is an artificial world that takes you out of your natural environment. The Matrix is an artificial reality, ladies and gentlemen, that teaches you how to define yourself from a very young age. And because the Matrix has taught us how to define ourselves, we've developed a warped view of who we are based on how the definitions that we've given about who we are. I hope that makes sense. Again, some of these things sound legitimate or come out making sense to me, but I hope it makes sense to the viewer. We are given definitions of who we are by the system. The school teaches, public education teaches us a very limited perspective on who we are. They don't teach us the most important things about, the mysteries of life. They don't teach us about the Kundalini energy. They don't teach us how to master each of our chakras, how to master our mind. Could you imagine how advanced the earth would be if schools were actually, these occult and metaphysical mystery schools that were teaching humans how to really unlock the true potential of their genome, to unlock the mysteries of life? Life could be a very interesting and very, very advanced evolutionary platform, folks, but we live in an artificial world where they've given us certain definitions on how to define ourselves. And those definitions have created something that I like to call the ego or the false self. So you're born into a world that teaches you or instructs you on what to be. They don't instruct you on the truth of who you are, which you are God, ladies and gentlemen. You are a demigod. You and God are one and the same. When the Creator creates something, the Creator doesn't separate itself from its creation. You contain what the Gnostics call the spark of divinity, ladies and gentlemen. Deep within your programmed self, underneath all the layers of bullshit, exists the primordial and eternal you. And that eternal and primordial you has been masked by layers of programming. Again, it's been masked by layers of programming from living in this world. And on top of the programming, which starts at a very young age, they compounded that programming with a series of injections that were forced into your veins. You've had the very building blocks of your genetic makeup manipulated by science, ladies and gentlemen, in the form of injections and in the form of bad food. The imbalance of minerals in the foods and the soils in the crops that we eat have taken our bodies out of a very specific mineral balance. They're using NPK fertilizer on the produce. They've really done a epic job at being evil. Let's just put it that way. Now, I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm trying to convey a message to the best of my ability in a state of sleep deprivation. So I apologize if some of these things don't come off the way that they. Again, certain things, make sense to me coming out of my mouth, but I'm not sure how they are received on the other end. So I apologize in advance if there's any inconsistencies in the way I'm speaking right now, but beneath all the layers of programming is the primordial eternal you. That is your subconscious mind, but they've programmed our subconscious minds, ladies and gentlemen, with filth. And these layers of programming that we've accepted are what we define ourselves by. I hope that makes sense. We accept certain information from a young age about who we are, and we take that bogus information that's largely from our parents and from the education system and our friends, and we use that information to kind of develop a alter ego of sorts, an archetype or a belief system about who we are and what our purpose is. So sure, you may be little Bobby at a young age who came into this world and was told by his parents that we want you to become a police officer. So little Bobby grew up thinking that in order for him to be validated by his parents, he needed to become a police officer. So he went through the system, he went through the motions of the systems, and eventually became a police officer. That same child, if he was put into a reality of enlightenment, was told by his or his parents that you could be a limitless individual, you could achieve anything. If that type of programming was given to our youth and was compounded or backed up by the media, ladies and gentlemen, we could achieve greatness due to how at a young age the mind is so impressionable to outside stimuli. If at a young age we taught the youth the truth that we're keeping from the youth, I mean, the world would be a much different place. We weren't designed to be told, This is just insane. Our children are a byproduct. Who we are now as adults is a byproduct of what happened to us as children. And I don't want to repeat myself, ladies and gentlemen, and be superfluous and just continue repeating similar things that I've talked about in older videos. But we are, as adults, ladies and gentlemen, a byproduct of our childhood programming. In real health, aside from eating healthy, aside from drinking clean water and getting your grounding and getting adequate levels of sunshine, getting your 20 to 30 minute walk every day that I recommend, aside from getting your mineral saturation and your micronutrient density in check, aside from all these things, aside from blocking the artificial light and getting adequate sleep and really just reprogramming yourself with positivity and practicing magic, aside from all these things that I'm constantly recommending, ladies and gentlemen, there is more to health than that. There is more to health than physical protocols in doing things to modulate your diet. The real true healing takes place when you have the ability to go back into the framework of your memories and delete what are known as engrams. And engrams, for lack of better term, to kind of simplify things in layman's terms, engrams are like little memory traces that are stuck in our subconscious and our unconscious levels of our mind, and they're like little trauma stamps that go into our memory bank. So for instance, if you had growing up, if you had an experience that was highly traumatizing, ladies and gentlemen, it creates something that's known as an engram. And that engram continues to plague you, even though you may or may not even be conscious of it as an adult, because you never cleared that engram. And it goes into the genetics, it goes into the mind, it goes into the subconscious, and it continues to plague you. We are an accumulation of these engrams. I hate calling them engrams because Scientology kind of pioneered that term, but the term engram describes something that existed long before Scientology came along. Engrams, ladies and gentlemen, are like little memory stamps. that plague us because they are kind of like a residual layer of all of our traumas. I hope that makes sense. Real healing takes place when you can go back through your genetic and mental kind of history, so to speak, and delete all of the negative programming that's happened to us from youth. And you're not going to be able to do that following the system's goddamn disgusting protocol with all the pharmaceuticals and the injections and all the madness and all the public school and all the chasing of unattainable ideals and dreams. The system is absolutely fucking disgusting. What it has done to consciousness, what it has done to our youth, what it has done to us as adults, ladies and gentlemen, what it has done to the collective consciousness. It has taken a beautiful, enlightened species, the human species, which is designed to be one with God through the Kundalini, and it has turned us, ladies and gentlemen, into a slave species. Just like Morpheus said to Neo in The Matrix, you are a slave, Neo. You exist in a prison cell for your mind, a prison without bars. Again, a prison for your mind. So how do we go back into our minds, folks? How do we go back and start deleting these engrams or these trauma stamps? How do we go back and look into all of the stuff that happened to us at a young age and start deleting our programming? Well, that's a difficult thing to answer. And no, I don't have the ability to necessarily answer that for you. I personally, the way I go about handling it is I practice magic, which is the art and science of mental mastery, basically. There's so many confused definitions of magic, but magic is the art and science, or it is the practice, or it is the retraining of the mind. It is the purging of the mind of all the filth that we've accumulated. It is the retraining of the subconscious. It's teaching your conscious mind to have a connection, a direct connection to your subconscious, because the subconscious mind is the key to all of this, ladies and gentlemen. The subconscious mind is what operates behind the scene of the conscious mind. It's consciously aware of everything. It filters out all of the insanity that we experience on a day-to-day basis. It filters out all of the excessive stimulation and all of the energetic imprints that are happening to us at any given time. The subconscious mind, when you get a wound, for instance, ladies and gentlemen, the subconscious mind regulates your heartbeat. It regulates all your physiological functions on your cell. It is an incredibly advanced, hyper divine instrument of God. And we don't have much of a connection with the subconscious mind anymore because we live in the land of the schism. We are separated from our subconscious, and we operate in this very ego-driven, narcissistic, self-centered survival and reproduction state of consciousness that is driven by the programmed conscious mind. I hope that makes sense. Aside from all my babbling, ladies and gentlemen, how do we begin going back and retraining our minds? Well, we need a purging of sorts, and magic is one of the greatest ways to begin purging yourself of all the garbage, because you're retraining and refortifying your mind to operate at a much higher wavelength with magic, because you're actually seeking to develop a relationship with your higher mind. I hope that makes sense. Now, aside from ceremonial magic, which I am a firm believer in the power of, I believe that shamanism is one of the greatest healing tools for not only for the entire collective consciousness. I wanted to personally thank you for watching my videos and contributing to the growth of my channel. I could not do this without you, and your interest in my content is truly what motivates me and fuels my passion for making these videos and spreading my message. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wanted to remind you that this channel is a free educational tool that is listener supported. And if you would like to donate to my channel and donate to my cause, help make my life a little bit easier and help keep the lights on around here, you can do so by checking out the links in the description box below. There's a handful of not only ways to donate to my channel, but I also have links to different websites and different videos of mine, as well as my Amazon store, where you can check out a plethora of different health-related products that I use and recommend. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your continued interest in my message, and until next time, peace be with you all.